Hey everyone, welcome back to the Barney Homestead. It is a beautiful fall day here on the homestead, and I am actually going to be working on some spring bulbs that I am planting today. Planting them in the fall for the blooms in the spring. Now, would you believe it, but I have never planted a bulb for a spring bloom. I've never planted a tulip, I've never planted a daffodil, any of those other things that you plant in the fall to bloom in the spring. At least where I am in zone 5B, I've never done it. So I'm gonna take you along today when I plant those things in a few areas of my garden. I'll show you what I got, and I'm gonna be planting 2 different types of tulips in 2 different areas of my garden. So the first ones that I got are these right here. They're called tulip. I've got a violet mix and a purple and pink mix. I got these from my local Ace Hardware, and they are a pack of 4 bulbs, and I think they were $3.49 a piece. I also picked these up from Lowe's. This is the double late collection in a combination of pinks, violets, and whites. And this was 25 bulbs for $15. So the boxes are gonna go in one section and the bag is gonna go in another section. So let's go ahead and get started. So right now I'm in the raised bed garden, and at the intersection of all of my raised beds, I have these round barrel planters. You can see one right over my shoulder here. So I've got 2 towards the front by my 4x4 beds. I'm gonna be planting the double late collection tulips in those 2. And then further behind me by my walkout, I have 2 more of those barrel planters, and I'm gonna be planting those boxes, which are a collection of violet and purple colored tulips. So even though I've never planted spring bulbs before, there are a few things I know to be true. Whenever you're planting in a new space or you're replanting something in an existing space, you always want to make sure that your soil is well amended. So these planters that I'm planting in the raised bed garden had my potatoes in them this summer, and I just harvested those a couple weeks ago. So they need to be amended for this new planting of these bulbs. So what I did was I added a fresh layer of mushroom compost, and then I also usually toss in a few handfuls of a balanced fertilizer. So let me open up this package. Again, in these, I'm gonna be planting the double late collection, and I will tell you what the package says. So it requires full sun to partial shade. You're gonna plant your bulbs at a depth of 5 inches. You can fit 9 bulbs per square foot. They bloom in the late spring. They are about 16 to 18 inches, and they are hardy from zones 2 to 8. And with bulbs that you plant in the fall, you're going to plant anywhere between September to December for your spring bloom. So it's currently October 2nd. I'm right in that perfect window. So this is what your bulb looks like when you take it out of the package, and you are going to plant it with the pointy side upward. So let's go ahead and get planting. So I've spaced out all of my bulbs, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and plant them about 5 inches deep in the planter. I was able to fit, I think I have 12 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, I have 12 in here. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and plant them with the pointy side up. All right, first bed is planted. So as I'm planting these, I will share that one of the things I learned about bulbs when I was researching was the reason you need to plant them in the fall is because you want to give them time to establish some roots before you go into your cold period of weather. They need to establish roots before you hit winter. So I am about 4 weeks out from my first frost date, which again is the perfect time to be planting these. It's going to allow them to establish a root system so that they can have some energy stored going into winter, and then when we start to get warmer in the spring, they will start to bloom. The last step for these two planters is I'm going to water them in. Now, when you are planting your bulbs for springtime, you want to make sure that they stay moist, but they don't get soggy so you don't have those bulbs rotting in the soil. So I'm going to give them a nice water, and I will just make sure that that soil stays moist for the next few weeks while they are establishing their roots. Now, these containers that I'm going to plant my next set of bulbs in, you can see have some herbs in them that are still going. However, I'm ready to pull these out. I have harvested a ton from them over the season, have dried a ton, and so they've given me everything I need, and now I am going to take them out to get ready for the bulbs. I think the time I'm going to try to transplant into one of my raised beds to see if I can overwinter it, because I've never done that. I may show that in another video, but today it's about bulbs. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleared out, amended, and then we will plant. Now, again, for these planters, I am using the purple and pink and violet mix. There's 4 bulbs in a pack. I've got 2 packs for each barrel. And I think I'm just gonna kind of intermix them so they all kind of spring up, and it'll be a similar color palette, but no rhyme or reason for how the bulbs go in. The other fun thing I learned this year from just following folks who grow flowers on Instagram mainly, did you know that if you are buying tulips from a flower farmer, they actually dig up the entire bulb each season? So they dig up the entire bulb and then they cut the stem and they replant the bulb every year. Now, if you are looking to not do that and just make sure that you plant once and can enjoy the blooms year after year, you definitely can do that. And I don't think there's a difference in the bulbs that you have to buy, but I just thought it was interesting that flower farmers actually repurchase and replant their tulip bulbs every single year. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with mine. I don't know if I'm going to pull them all and, you know, use them as cut flowers, maybe give some away and replant. I don't really know what my plans are for these 2 spaces next year, so we'll just kind of see what happens once they bloom. I think one of the other reasons I've never planted a spring bulb is because, quite frankly, I'm a super impatient person. So the thought of planting something now and not kind of seeing it come to fruition for months is kind of giving me a little bit of anxiety, if I'm being honest, because you kind of have to wait to know if you did it right? Probably another reason why I've never planted garlic, because you have to plant that in the fall too. If you have any other tulip or bulb growing tips that maybe I haven't mentioned that work for you, let me know. I definitely would love to learn as I go, but hopefully this will work out in the spring. I will have beautiful tulips coming up. If you're like me and have never planted a spring bulb before, I hope this video gives you the confidence to go ahead and try it. Really, I think it's a small investment for a really beautiful payoff a few months down the road. So I would definitely say add it to your list this fall if you have the space and if you have the resources to do that. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this turns out in the spring. Thanks so much for planting with me today, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye, everyone.